Good morning. I see you all happy. And I want to talk to you today, Osho and the science of existence. And let me tell you today, it was Osho who came to this country in 1984, something like that. And he started telling people how to live in the present. But people never understood that. He talked about intellectual world. He talked about intention. He talked about institution, but never understood people. But let me explain to you in a simple way so you understand that. We should respect the existence. And that's what he did. And that's what we have to do. That is the science of existence. And that's what Osho was talking. Well, let me today tell you about the existence and the science. Science has now proven that we have come from this existence, that we have come from animal origin. Hard science has proved, if you look over anatomy, where you are born, each of you, the first baby, the first thing inside of mother's womb, when the baby gets implanted, the first is a fish. After that, all that what has happened, that is all science has proved. So we come out from this existence, from our mother through a placenta. And as we come out, the first thing we do is take a breath. And that breath comes from existence. And that's what he was talking. And the breath comes from existence. It gives us, now the science has proven that we have 100 trillion cells in our body. Each body is full of 100 trillion cells. And that is a intellectual knowledge. That is a fact. We should accept that. We should not deny that we are breathing from this existence and this intellectual world, and which is a intellectual science. And this intellectual science is living in the present, but you are living in the past. But the intellectual world is in the present because that is our bridge. But you have built everything on the top of the bridge and you never gone to the full intuition. But look, a child who is born. I know my baby was born in 1973. Now she's a doctor. She's waking up. She understands that we are from the existence. And she now totally waking up her two kids who are 15 and 13. And they are totally waking up. And they respect the intellectual world because they have to live in this world. Because that world is totally fallible. It's artificial. It can be changed anytime. But we should respect that because we should respect all the doctors, the teachers, the judges. But we become the watcher. That is where the problem is. Because when the baby is only up to 7 years of age, they are only learning what you call, and they're living themselves. They are totally innocent. They are totally empty. And they are totally in a meditation. And they are totally talking to the existence. But we think we are talking to them because we are talking. But if we stop talking, just like a tree, just like a bird, just like an animal, just like a mountain, or just like our ocean, we stop talking to that baby. I know I talk to my own oldest baby myself. Because they all learn up to 1 year, they are just a watcher. And they only have a 1% of consciousness. And that 1% of consciousness can go on increasing. But unfortunately, we have totally conditioned them. I know I condition all my children. I know I self-condition myself. But my father, who was born in 1914 and 1941, he learned that mind is a heap of impression and the body is a heap of food. He learned at Dera Baba Nanak, and he learned this is all come from existence, and the life itself is pure. It never should be corrupted. And he learned in 7 days that, of course, he was born with a 1% of consciousness, but when he went there, he became 100% conscious because he stopped talking. And that is called the total meditation, and that is called the total concentration with the existence. And because he became existent, stop talking. The meditation word come from India is called dhyan, D-H-Y-A-N, dhyan. That means become totally conscious. And that's how they tell them how to do totally conscious. Of their mind is totally gone, and the body become a heap of impression, and the body and the life itself is what the plants are. And he become totally being himself. And he keep on learning. As I can see myself, I see whole his life. He came to this country in 1974. And I tell you, in 1977, he got sick because my son was going to born. And he literally, and when I went home, I have to give him a diuretic because I learned as a doctor what to do. That is the intellectual knowledge. And I have to give him a Lasix IV. And he get better. He started breathing better. I told him, Papa, I need to take to another doctor. I respect that doctor. I took him to Plant City, to Dr. Hakim, a beautiful soul, a God-gifted person. And he checked him and he says, his aortic valve is closed. And I tell you, he sent me to Tampa General Hospital where we had to operate, and we met Dr. Vijay. He was a beautiful soul. And when he did a cardiac cath, he found out his 90% of his aortic valve was closed, but all his arteries are open. He said there's only 5% chances that he can live. And that was his intellectual knowledge. I say, I don't know, whatever you think is right. But he operated, and he told me to sleep at night because he put an endotracheal tube in my father. And he says, we are going to leave for 3 days. But I tell you, at that night, when I slept that night, 4 o'clock, my father got up. And he says, I can't breathe. I have to deflate the endotracheal tube. That's my intellectual knowledge. And he started breathing. And when he came at 9 o'clock, Dr. Vijay, he says, what happened? He said, my papa wants to go home. He said, we can let him go home next day. And he was taking 17 pills a day. It's amazing. Then I met Sodi Polaris in 1980s. I went to him at the Mexico City. He's not living anymore. And he had a book called The Ischemic Heart Disease and Polarizing Treatment. And I stayed with him 1 week with my wife. And I tell you, we learned about polarizing treatment. And that is no sodium, practically no salt, no sugar, no oil. Live all the vegetables and fruit. And I tell you, I came back home, and in 1 week that my father cutting down medications, and I keep on increasing his exercise. And in a month, he was picking up my grandbaby. He was so happy that his medications were only taking Coumadin one day, 5 milligram, and the next day, 7.5 milligram, and a Coumadin that is digitalis. That is the digitalis on top of that, which is 0.125 milligram. I give him only 6 days a week. But if you go back to Mexico City and you go back to India, we used to do what we call a digitalis liquid. But unfortunately, we have learned here to give a pills. So he ended up taking 0.125 milligram of digitalis a day. And he became totally normal. And he lived 20 years. And we should respect that intellectual knowledge. And that is what each one of us should do that. Because that's what he was talking about, the Osho was, intellectual knowledge. We should respect that because science has caught up now. But we still have to live with the trees, with the birds, with the animals, and with this mountains, and with this ocean, because they are not talking. And that is the real science. And science has proven now that we should live with existence, we should live with the present. And that's what a life is. That is the existence. Existence is always in the present. And that's what we all have to do. Don't get discouraged. Be positive. And that's what all of us has to do that. And you all have to do it, whether you are conditioned by the intellectual mind, or if you just become what you call a total consciousness, because you become 100% conscious. And that each one of us has to become. That's what happened to Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, when he was born, he was only 1%. And as he left later on, at the age of 10 or 11, he became totally conscious. And he came back when he was 31 years old. And he says that kingdom is heaven is inside of you. And you should start looking with your eyes, hearing from your nose, and stop talking to your mouth. And he says, become a watcher. And that's what he's talking. You all should become a watcher. And if you become a watcher, that is 24 hours a day. And that is watching yourself. You watch your whole body. Well, let me tell you, how do you do that? When you get up in the morning, first of all, you get up in the morning and wake up and look at yourself and be a watcher to your whole body. And be thankful and laugh at it yourself. And laugh all the things what you have. Pretty soon you'll be laughing at yourself. Pretty soon laughing become your habit. And that's what Jesus Christ did. Laughing yourself. And that when you laugh at yourself and be thankful that you have got ears, eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and mouth, and hands, and the feet, and the orifice on the back bottom, which is to pee, and whatever you eat, you throw it out. And you have to become conscious of that. You should be thankful to your wife. Communicate. Do not use that that is my wife. That is your partner. That is your part of your life. And that's my father did. And that's what Jesus Christ is talking about. That you become part of that. And then you lose all that stuff from your body in the sense that intellectual knowledge, and you become totally a tree. You totally become a life. You totally become existence. And that's each one of us has to become that. And you all have to do that. And you have to practice every day. So morning you do that. All day long you watch yourself. Become a watcher. Watch what act you're doing. You're driving. Watch the driving. Respect the artificial intelligence of this road. Of all the signs which they are. Don't just jump in and make an accident. Because you are hurting yourself. You are hurting other person. And don't do that. Because you can use that intellectual positive as the sun comes in the morning and you see the light has come inside. And that is what we are looking. But we have forgotten about the light of the sun. But we have totally become intellectual and we think we know. But at the end of the day, we are totally empty. Just like a tree, just like a bird, or any other thing in the existence who's living. And that's what he was talking. And that's what all of you have to do that. And you have to listen to Osho, all his videos, all his YouTubes, and pay attention to that. And respect that. Do not compare with anybody. Look at you, each person. Each person has to wake up to themselves. Each person has to wake up to the existence. And I want to tell you another thing, which is I want to give you a book also. And that is called The Cancer Cure Yourself Through Unconditional Consciousness. And you can get this book at rejuvenexfamilyfarm@gmail.com. You can also call the young person who is sitting in front of me, who understand that the intellectual mind, we should respect that. It is all conditioned. It's a fallible. And it's the instinct body, which is not fallible. And the phone number you can call is 941-914-2719. And you should read this book thoroughly. And you should work with your family doctor or your health practitioner. I wish you all a happy day. God bless. Namaste. Amen.